Well then, Melody, that's all for now.
Yeah, Hayden.
The flight tomorrow is after 7 a.m., right?
Yes, that's right. There's a diner near the hotel where I'm staying that opens at 6 a.m., so I plan to have breakfast there before heading to the airport.
I see. Sorry that I can't see you off.
It's okay. You've got work, right? Besides, it's not like we'll never see each other while we're living apart.
Yeah, that's true. My work as a dance instructor is likely to pick up on that side of things.
And we've already had a solid discussion about our future plans. Since I'll be over there, I'll make sure to keep moving forward with all the preparations and paperwork I can handle.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Serves you right. Riley, what's this about serves you right? I heard Dad told you about the separation and now you're homeless, right? Excuse me? When Dad remarried that older, poor woman 5 years ago, I was seriously shocked. But now, look at you, abandoned by him. And a divorce is probably coming soon. Okay, yes, we did start living separately, but that's because of our work schedules. And just to clear things up, I've actually signed a lease for my apartment in this area, so I'm definitely not homeless. What's a part-time housewife who depended on Dad's income talking about? Plus, now that you're separated, it looks like you've moved out of this area, so you won't even be able to continue your part-time job. In other words, unemployed. That means you're homeless, right? Listen, that's not it. My job isn't part-time, and I earn enough on my own. Right, you're saying you've got your own income now, huh? But wasn't it because you were getting allowances from Dad before? Acting like you've earned it all by yourself? I can't stand women who act like they've achieved something when it's just Dad's money. Has Dad never told you anything about my work? Isn't it a part-time job at a convenience store? I've actually seen you serving customers at that convenience store by S Station. The convenience store is a family business, actually. It's something my family runs, and sometimes I help out when part-time students need a hand, during exam periods or when the store is short-staffed. So you're just filling in during your usual part-time hours, right? It's still the same low income you've had all along, just with a little more work. Don't make it sound like you're doing something impressive. I've told you already I'm not working part-time. Oh, I get it. That whole thing about I'm a business owner, was that a big lie you've been telling yourself? You're still going on about that fantasy? There's no way a woman who dropped out of school could ever be in charge of something, right? Forget it. No matter how much I explain, we just keep going in circles with this conversation. Anyway, it's only 1 more year, right? 1 year? I think you should start preparing for life after high school, too. Huh? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Hayden, about Riley.
Oh, Melody, what's up?
There was a property I'd been looking into in the area, and it's just been listed for sale.
Oh, really?
I was thinking of scheduling a viewing to coincide with your visit next week. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Please go ahead and arrange it.
Got it.
Wait, actually, sorry, Melody.
What's wrong?
It seems like Riley said something strange.
Ah, you mean the misunderstanding about the reason for the separation?
Yeah, she's under the impression that I started living separately with the intention of getting a divorce, and no matter how much I explain, she doesn't get it. She kept interrupting me while I was talking, saying things like, "It's not like you have to defend him now, and I'm an adult now, so I understand the grown-up stuff. I'm fine." She just kept laughing and dismissing everything I said. She doesn't listen to anything. She's so much like her mother in that regard.
Well, I haven't exactly made my job clear to her, so I guess it's understandable that she might be confused.
Yeah, that can't be helped. I used to work at that dance school, and I've mentioned that a famous idol trained there before their debut, and things got blown out of proportion because of it. I got caught up in all that mess.
I was even asked to get 30 idols' autographs without anyone even asking me directly.
That was tough to turn down, wasn't it? Even after I told them I was a different course instructor and had no contact with the idols, they wouldn't listen. It was such a hassle.
And Riley still doesn't seem to understand what's wrong with it. She doesn't get it at all.
As for you, I could never tell her about the company you run or how you managed to save $3 million by the time you're in your 40s. That kind of income is something I can't share with anyone.
I don't think anyone else would have the courage to talk about your savings. But if there's ever a chance to bring up the company, I guess it'll have to wait until after the promised day, a year from now.
Yeah.
It's been a year, you poor girl. Finished your graduation ceremony today, huh? Oh, right. Congratulations on graduating. Well, I'm moving now. Gotta pack up. Oh, I see. So you've been preparing for this. Of course. What do you think? I'm going to live in a mansion in the heart of the city while attending university. What? We bought a mansion, you know. Dad was so happy he was practically dancing. Do you know that they bought a house in the city? I overheard you talking about it on the phone with someone. You heard that? Dad was trying to keep it a surprise for me, but of course I knew. He's my dad, after all. Riley, can you please stop? What do you mean? Are you saying you don't want to live with me anymore? You should be getting a divorce soon, right? That's not what I meant. What I'm asking is this. Do you really think you can afford the mortgage on that house with Hayden's income? What? I'm just going to be blunt here. Don't get mad, but that house, it's in my name. No way. Sure, Hayden's successful as a dance instructor and his income is a bit higher than the average for his age, but there's no way he makes enough to buy a mansion in the heart of the city. I don't want to explain this further, so I'll just pass the baton to Hayden now. Huh? Wait, are you with Dad right now? Why?
Riley!
Papa? Hey, why are you with Melody, who's supposed to be getting a divorce?
I never said we were getting a divorce.
What? Wait a minute, but you've been separated for a whole year now. When you say separated, doesn't that usually mean that a divorce is just around the corner?
It's not like that. It's a temporary separation, just due to work commitments.
Temporary? Work commitments? But Melanie doesn't even have a job now, right? Isn't she unemployed? And she doesn't have anywhere to stay, does she? She's probably homeless right now, isn't she?
You really don't listen, do you?
What do you mean?
I've told you so many times that Melody is a business owner. What I'm about to tell you now is something I haven't shared before, but she runs an entertainment production company.
An entertainment production company?
Yes. Until now, she's mainly been operating the company out of regional offices. However, her talents and performers have been increasingly getting jobs in New York City, so we decided it was the right time to relocate the headquarters there. I, too, will have more freedom once I finish some commitments in about a year, and I'm planning to start working for Melody's company. So we've been preparing for the company move, both personally and professionally. That's why we had to have this separation for a year.
But didn't you two have some kind of falling out?
Riley, you've been twisting the story to fit your own view, constantly belittling Melody and insulting her. You've started to sound just like your mother, the one who destroyed our family.
Wait, are you talking about Mom?
You know that your mother's affair was the real reason for our divorce. And I also explained to you that I'm not your biological father.
Well, I know that. But still, I was born when you and Mom were married, right? That means officially, on paper, you're still my father, right? So I'm your daughter, isn't that right?
No, not anymore. On paper, I'm no longer your father.
What?
When your real father, the man your mother had an affair with, was confirmed, there was a process that allowed for legal changes. So Riley, as of now, there is no longer any record of me being your father.
What are you talking about? Then why did you take me in? When Mom disappeared with some guy, you were the one who took me in.
We explained this when we took you in. But the truth is, it was actually your maternal grandparents who took you in first.
What? Huh?
Yes. Your grandparents were getting older and were concerned about their health. But despite everything that happened, they couldn't bear the thought of sending their own granddaughter to an orphanage or an institution. They knew the situation was complicated, but in the end, they turned to me, your former stepfather, because they felt I was the right person to take care of you.
Wait, so it was them, not you?
That's right. But they were concerned about their ability to take care of you, especially as they were getting older and facing health issues. They knew that they couldn't properly look after you with their declining health, so they turned to me. But even though I had no obligation to raise you, I didn't want to refuse their request. After thinking it through and discussing it with Melody, we decided that we would take care of you until you graduated high school.
Hold on. You're saying that today is my graduation day, right? Today?
Yes, exactly. We made that arrangement long ago, and we even signed the necessary papers to make it official. This wasn't just something we decided on a whim. It was a promise, and it was all legally documented.
I don't remember that.
I know you don't remember it, but the documents are real, and they're there. You can't deny that.
Wait, seriously?
Yes, it's all in the documents. So, while you were off at your graduation, I went ahead and packed up all your things. I've already left. I'm in New York City now.
What? You're already there?
Yes, I've already moved. I was only waiting for this moment for you to graduate. And now, it's time for me to go.
Wait, so that means you're saying I have to move out now? Like, right away?
Yes, I'd appreciate it if you could vacate the house soon. You've been living in my place for a while now, and with everything that's happened, it's time for you to find your own place.
Wait, hold on a second. I thought I was supposed to be living with you in the big house in New York City. That house I thought was for all of us to live in together. You never told me that this would happen. What am I supposed to do now? I don't have anywhere to go.
I'm afraid you need to figure that out on your own. I've already made the necessary arrangements on my end, and now it's time for you to step up. I'm sure you can manage. After all, you've been living here for years, and now it's time for you to learn to be independent. I understand this may be difficult for you, but it's something you'll need to do eventually. This is just the first step.
But Papa, this doesn't make sense. I thought I would be part of the family and we'd all stay together. How could you just leave me like this?
It's not about leaving you behind. It's about fulfilling our promises and living up to what was agreed upon. The truth is, I've already moved on, and now it's time for you to do the same.
Papa? Why won't you answer me? Melody! Hey, I just wanted to tell you that I'm moving into the mansion you bought. Finally, I have been freed from those days of constant meaningless insults. And to be honest, I am feeling so relieved right now, it's almost overwhelming. I can't even begin to describe how stressful those days were, but now that they're over, I realize just how much weight I've been carrying on my shoulders. What? And I found out that I'm pregnant. Pregnant? Yes, of course, it's Hayden's child. It's going to be a high-risk pregnancy because I'm in my 40s, so I'm being extra cautious about everything. Anything that might cause stress, I'm cutting it out of my life, no questions asked. I was the one who caused stress? I need you to realize just how much you've contributed to all of this. Oh. So with that said, I'll be leaving now. The following day, Riley found herself heading towards her maternal grandparents' house, located about a 15-minute walk from where she had been staying. The house was familiar to her, and despite the emotional turmoil she was experiencing, it felt like the only place left to turn to for support. She had a strained but present relationship with her grandparents, having seen them on several occasions over the years, though it was not one based on deep emotional closeness. Regardless, it felt like the best option given the circumstances. She had no real plan. The only thing that was certain was her sense of desperation. As Riley walked towards their house, the path felt longer than it usually did, perhaps because of the weight of her situation was now so much more apparent. Her mind raced and she struggled to push away the overwhelming emotions and confusion that had taken over her. She wasn't just carrying her physical belongings, but a heavy burden of uncertainty, rejection, and feelings of abandonment. Every step she took towards her grandparents' house seemed to carry an invisible weight on her shoulders, one she couldn't shake off no matter how hard she tried. When Riley finally arrived at the house, she was greeted by her grandparents, but there was something noticeably distant in their response. It wasn't an unkind reception, but it lacked the warmth she had hoped for. After all, she had come here expecting that, in a moment of crisis, family would offer some solace. Instead, there was an awkwardness in the air, a hesitation that immediately made her question whether this had been the right decision. Her grandparents were elderly, and though they had been kind to her in the past, the situation she now found herself in felt far different from the one in which they had once provided support. It became clear to Riley that her visit was not going to be as simple as she imagined. Although she had expected some help, the reality was harsher than she had hoped. 6 months prior, her uncle's family had moved in with her grandparents, and the dynamics of the household had changed dramatically. What had once been a relatively quiet, stable environment was now filled with additional people, which added to the already tense atmosphere. Her uncle, his wife, and their children were all now living under the same roof, and the strain on everyone's patience was visible. Riley's grandparents, while seemingly understanding of her predicament, had also been dealing with their own challenges and were not in a position to offer her the kind of help she needed. Her uncle, who had become more of a fixture in their home, made it very clear from the moment she arrived that he had no intention of offering her any assistance. His coldness was unmistakable, and his words were harsh. He bluntly told Riley that there was no room for her there, and if she wanted to stay, she would have to leave within 3 weeks. The ultimatum was final, and there was no room for negotiation. Devastated and shocked, Riley was left standing in front of her grandparents' house with her belongings scattered around her. It felt like a betrayal, a complete abandonment by the family she had always known. She could hardly believe that she was being treated this way. She had hoped for understanding, for a chance to rebuild her life with the support of those who had watched her grow up. But instead, she was being pushed away with no regard for her struggles. Riley's world had crumbled, and she was left to pick up the pieces alone. The days passed, and Riley struggled to come to terms with the situation. It wasn't just the rejection that was hard to bear. It was the overwhelming sense of hopelessness that seemed to follow her everywhere. For weeks she stayed at her grandparents' house trying to convince herself that there was still a way out, that there was some possibility for reconciliation. But the more she tried to make sense of everything, the more she realized that she was fighting a losing battle. The 3-week deadline loomed over her, and the thought of being kicked out with nowhere to go was terrifying. In the midst of all this, Riley suddenly remembered something crucial, something she had completely forgotten in all the chaos of the past few weeks. She had been planning to attend university, and part of her plan had been that her father, Hayden, would pay for her admission fees. She had never even considered that Hayden might not be willing to support her. It was an assumption she had made out of habit, but the reality hit her like a ton of bricks when she realized the payment deadline had already passed. By the time the thought crossed her mind, it was too late. The window of opportunity had closed, and she had missed her chance. The weight of this realization was unbearable. Riley felt as if everything she had worked toward, her education, her future, was now slipping through her fingers. She had been counting on Hayden to help her, and now it seemed that her dream of going to university was nothing more than a distant fantasy. The emotional toll of it all broke her. Desperation and panic set in as she rushed to her grandparents and uncle, begging them for help. "If I don't pay the fees, I won't be able to graduate. I'll just be a high school graduate with no future," she cried. But instead of compassion, she was met with cold indifference. Her uncle's response was a sharp rebuke. He told her that it wasn't their responsibility to fix her problems and that she needed to figure things out on her own. The complete lack of empathy stung deeply, and Riley felt her heart shatter as she realized that no one was going to help her. It was as if she had become invisible to them, a burden that they no longer cared to bear. The rejection didn't stop there. In the cruelest of gestures, her belongings were thrown out onto the front lawn. Everything she had, her clothes, her books, her personal items, were discarded without a second thought. The message was clear. She was no longer welcome, no longer part of the family. It was a stark reminder of how quickly everything could change, how easily people could turn their backs on you when you needed them the most. Riley left her grandparents' house with no real destination in mind. She had no plan, no idea where she was going, but she knew she couldn't stay there. She headed south, far from the place she had once called home, and she disappeared from their lives. Her family was left to wonder what had become of her. No one knew where she had gone or what had happened to her. The last anyone heard, she was on her way to an uncertain future, a future that seemed more and more hopeless as the days passed. What happened to Riley after she left her grandparents' house remains a mystery. Some say she headed to a nearby city, others think she might have reached out to distant relatives or friends. But in the end, no one knew for sure. The girl who had once dreamed of a bright future was now a lost soul, wandering through a world that seemed increasingly indifferent to her struggles. Her story, once full of hope, had now become a tale of abandonment, of rejection by the people she had once trusted. And as time passed, Riley's future seemed more and more uncertain, a future that was now hers to navigate alone. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
Hey, Phil. Do you have a minute? I got to the wedding hall and to the waiting room for relatives when a security guard approached me and escorted me out. What's going on? I'm your sister, for God's sake. Why do I have to be kicked out?
Are you for real? You actually came?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I wasn't really up to it, but Mom and Dad said I should show up today. Thought it would at least make things look good, like we're a normal family or something. I really didn't want to, but they insisted and I show up and this is how you treat me? I knew I should have just ignored them. I really didn't expect to be treated like some dodgy character off the street.
Oh yeah, about that. I asked the wedding hall to kick any suspicious-looking people out. In particular, I told them I had good information that my younger sister was attempting to sneak into the wedding and disrupt the festivities and ruin her brother's happiness. I even gave them a photo of you, so when they spotted this penniless beggar girl, I instructed them to send you packing.
Are you for real? Besides, for your information, I'm not penniless. Why would I even try to disrupt your wedding? I have nothing to gain by doing that.
Well, I don't know about that.
What do you mean?
The fact is, you work for a company that's a client of ours, a subcontractor, to be precise. Which means me, your brother, works for the bigger company and the younger sister at a meager subcontractor. I can't believe we're relatives. I mean, the difference here is overwhelming. The truth is, you envy me so much that you would interfere with my success any way you could. Am I right?
That's where you're wrong, Phil. I don't envy at all. But I do think you're a pain in the ass.
Huh? A pain in the ass? How am I a pain in the ass?
You're being a pain in the ass right now. I was interested in joining this company from way back, and I went through a lot of hurdles to finally get this position. It just so happens that my company had business dealings with your company. It was nothing that I had planned. So why am I being held accountable? Makes no sense. You're being a total pain in the ass.
That does not change the fact that you're a subcontractor. That means your company can't survive without us providing you with work. You work at this company, which means you rely on us to survive. A bottom feeder is what you are.
Are you still living in the 1950s or something? That's the kind of small-mindedness that drives me crazy.
What are you saying, that I'm old-fashioned?
I heard that your company president and ours has been a long-time family friend for generations. So, I wouldn't make such derogatory remarks in the office if I were you. If you did something stupid at work, I would be super embarrassed. So, please, don't.
Oh yeah, bark all you want. You really think you can outdo me? We're the main contractor here. Get it? Main and sub. You're the sub, Marge. Get that through your little head. As proof, although it's a weekend, weren't you supposed to work today?
Pardon me? Why?
I'm sure you know that I handle all business dealings between your company and more, right? I just called your company and demanded that they get that latest project done a week early.
Excuse me? What are you talking about?
Well, I can't really talk about the details because it's confidential, but when I was on the phone, the staff were in pure panic mode. So I'm pretty sure you'll be getting a call any time now. Good luck with that.
Hold on a second. Are you for real? You move a project deadline up a week? And you give no concrete reason for doing so? You can't be serious. As a business, that is not acceptable.
What have I been saying for the last few minutes? That's what it means to be the main contractor. A sub has no say in how we do business. It's probably for the better that you not attend the wedding anyway. Better if you get to work on the project. I'd rather you not be here. You just ruin the whole atmosphere.
I hope you're not dragging business into personal matters.
You better get going. Your staff is a panic.
Yeah, whatever. I guess I better get over there.
It's hard being penniless, isn't it? Not time to rest.
Better talk to the CEO and apologize.
Yeah, you do that. Get that project done on time, or no more further contracts.
Hello, Mr. Jensen. Can we talk?
Oh, that you, Mash? What's up?
I'm using the company line for business reasons. Sorry.
I see. Yeah, no problem. Okay, sounds like it's something important. What's up? Oh, by the way, wasn't it your brother's wedding day today?
I'm contacting you because this may be an emergency situation. Because of me.
Seriously? An emergency situation?
Was there some sort of inquiry into the current project that the R&D department is working on with my brother's company? Which, as you know, is the main contractor?
What kind of inquiry?
I think it's about Project A. I heard they were going to move the project deadline by 1 week. I was wondering if my brother had contacted the project manager, or possibly the site superintendent. Maybe you, perhaps.
Do you mean the issues we have with our main contractor, Ace Industries? Come this Monday, we plan to end the project by the end of business day.
Really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, sorry about that. We haven't had time to put out a proper announcement, being that it's still Saturday and all. Figured we would put something out by the end of the week.
Was there a problem with Ace Industries?
Actually, yes. The guy running the whole project, the staff says he's a little, patronizing toward them. And the deadlines as well as pricing, it's all haphazard. I was getting a lot of complaints from the on-site managers and staff, and the whole situation has created a totally negative atmosphere in the workplace. We agreed to terminate the project as of Monday. We'll complete it on time, but after that, we don't intend to renew any more new contracts with Ace.
I see. I just want to verify something. The person who is in charge of the project at Ace Industries is...
Yes, that's right. I'm afraid it's your brother Phil.
Yeah, I figured as much. I'm really sorry for this. Him being my brother and all.
And don't worry about it. I know all about your family situation, no worries. We have several major projects going now, and they plan to renew going forward, so as for, company profits, it won't hurt to lose a contract with Ace Industries.
I'm glad to hear that. Long as there is no major loss to the company.
But why did your brother talk to you directly about this situation?
Sorry to burden you, but you're at the office today, right? If possible, I would like to hear a bit more of the details regarding this matter. If it's okay with you, that is. Could you spare a bit of time?
No problem. I'll be here in my office. Stop at any time.
March! March, pick up!
Would you stop? What the hell do you want? I've gotten 50 messages from you in the past 15 minutes.
Well, that's because you won't reply.
I was driving. I had my phone on manner mode. Didn't see it until I got to the office. So, what's the rush? What do you want?
Get back to the wedding hall right this second.
You can't be serious. 1 minute you kick me out. The next minute you want me back. What the hell do you want? You're a real pain in the butt.
Where the hell are you right now?
Like I said, I just arrived at the office. After what you said, I was worried and decided to stop in. So, what is this? Something happened over there?
I really think I screwed up.
Excuse me?
About moving that project up 1 week.
Yeah, that's why I'm at the office. I wanted to check up on that. I just talked to the president about that, and he says the project will be terminated by the end of business on Monday, but said they will clear up any loose ends according to the contract. But they don't plan to renew next year. What's this all about? What'd you do?
That project was supposed to go to another subcontractor. I was handling several different clients and I got the subcontracting companies wrong. I thought you were working at that company and I told them to move up the project date. But then I found out that the CEO of that company was my wife's relative, and a staff member contacted my boss, and long story short, they found out I was trying to hide the fact that I made a mistake on the project deadline date.
You're kidding, right?
He just came into my fiance's room screaming and yelling about it.
Let me get this straight. You screwed up with the project deadline. You tried to cover it up by blaming me and my company for the mistake. Is that what you're trying to say? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. How could you screw up the companies?
Shut your mouth. I wasn't asking for your opinion. That's why I want you back here ASAP.
Why should I go back there? That would solve nothing.
We can just say that you screwed up the project deadline.
Wait, what?
I'll work something out and all the blame can be laid at your feet.
You've totally lost it, Phil.
What?
The department I work for has zero connections with Ace Industries. That's R&D's project. And the mistake you made with the deadline date was with another subcontractor, right? I have no relationship to this project or to your company. Blaming it on me just won't fly.
But maybe.
Excuse me?
We can. There must be.
Hello? Hey, are you still there? What? Is your phone busted or something?
No.
Is that you, Phil? You're not making sense. I really thought your phone totally shut down. Overheated, perhaps?
My marriage, it's over. I got a divorce. It's only been a few days.
Oh, yeah? Well, you really did a number on that subcontracting company, owned by your wife's relative, I hear.
On top of that, I'm getting fired.
Pardon me?
At this rate, I know I'm going to get terminated. I figured I had it coming with that project deadline fiasco, but then the CEO and sales rep from your company shows up and tell us that they have terminated all future contracts with us going forward.
Yeah, I heard about that. They tell me that you were very patronizing towards them and made quite a few unrealistic demands. You created such negative work environment that they saw no other choice but to cut ties with Ace Industries. By the looks of it, it seems like you've been treating other subcontractors the same way.
But it's the duty of all subcontracting companies to obey all demands of the main contractor. That goes without saying. All these companies have no appreciation for us.
That's the kind of attitude that gets you fired.
Sorry, but I'm not fired quite yet.
To me, it just seems like a matter of time. I mean, I see zero remorse for what you did. You have no feelings of regret for all the trouble you caused those subcontractors.
Why am I to blame for everything?
Don't ask me, Phil. Like I keep telling you, you're a total pain in the ass.
Not that again.
You're not a kid anymore, Phil. Work it out yourself. See you around, big brother. My brother got divorced just 4 days after his wedding. They made him pay the entire cost of the wedding, and also a fair amount as compensation. Yes, and he eventually got fired. Due to his patronizing business methods, some clients were severely traumatized by his actions and ended up needing psychiatric care. I'm pretty sure there will be consequences for this later on. Some will probably sue him for emotional distress. At first, Ace Industries was contemplating relocating him to another branch, but due to the potential legal problems, they decided to let him go. So, now my folks were burdened with an unemployed son, with a significant debt to pay off, and potential lawsuits pending. As for me, I told my folks I was marrying the CEO of the company that Phil had severely berated. You really should have seen their faces when I gave them this news. They knew full well they could never rely on me for help. They always favored my big brother over me. And Phil hasn't changed his animosity towards me in the least. Last I heard, the three of them are living together and working day and night to pay off their son's debt.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
Caroline, what is wrong with... What is this all about, for God's sake? I wish you would put a stop to all of this. Why do you have to treat Anne so horribly? What did she ever do to you?
Is that you, Robert? What is this? Why are you texting me?
I'm over here at Anne and David's place right now. Anne showed me what you've been saying to her. What is this? A lazy, deadbeat wife? Really? How could you say such things to Anne?
What? You're at David's place now? Why?
David came back for a few days. Apparently, he has a meeting at the office on Monday. He wanted to spend time with Anne over the weekend. I heard he was here, so on my way back from meeting my friend, I stopped in to say hello.
Pardon me, David is back? He's home now? Why didn't anybody tell me? What's going on here? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yeah, of course you haven't. I kept it from you. I didn't want you to know.
If only you had told me, I would have gone with you today. How could you not tell me, Robert? If I had known, I could have gone over there and provided Anne with the discipline that she needs to become a better housewife. Why didn't you tell me, Robert?
You want to know why I didn't tell you, dear? That's because David asked me not to tell you.
Huh? David asked you not to tell me? How can that be? Why would he do a thing like that?
You really don't get it, do you, Caroline? Don't you see what you're doing?
Get what? What are you talking about? What do I not get, Robert?
It's the fact that David is keeping his distance from you. He's avoiding having to deal with you.
Keeping his distance? Did he say that? That he wants to avoid dealing with me, but why? I don't believe you, Robert. Why would my dear son want to avoid me, his own mother? I brought him up. I adored and doted on him since he was just a baby. I devoted my life to my son. How could such dedication and love not get through to him? How could he not feel the love I feel toward him?
That's exactly what he finds intolerable. That fanatical devotion you have towards him. But is it really love? Isn't it just arrogance? A form of narcissism? I really wish you would wake up and smell the coffee.
How dare you say that to me, Robert? How about you? What have you done? Tell me, Robert, as a father, what have you done for David that was so great? Did you shower him with love like I have all these years?
As David's father, I think I've done what's necessary. I know that I'm always here for him when he needs me, and I would do anything for him if asked.
Pardon me, that's all? That you're there for him? I could say the same.
Well, let me give you 2 examples of what I mean. The first example is David introduced me to his best friend, an old classmate of his from college.
Excuse me, his best friend? What's that have to do with anything?
It has everything to do with it, Caroline. His best friend, Daniel. You know Daniel, right?
Wait, Daniel? Are you talking about that Daniel? He's that parentless boy, that orphan, that Daniel? I told him not to associate with him. He is not of our caliber.
That's the one. You do remember him, don't you?
How could he be David's best friend? You must be mistaken. You know that people like that, kids who grow up without parents, don't amount to much.
Well, that Daniel that you so abhor, he's currently the CEO of a major corporation. A corporation that generates over $1 billion a year.
No, that can't be. Not that orphan.
He graduated from a top university all on his own. Finished at the top of his class right after he graduated. He started his own company and in no time built it to what it is today. When David first met him, he told me that I knew Daniel would go far, that he'd succeed beyond anyone's wildest dreams. And he was right. Unlike you, David has a good eye for people. He knew Daniel would make a name for himself someday. He had no doubt in his mind.
That Daniel? That parentless young man? He runs a billion-dollar company. He's the CEO of this company? Are you serious?
And the second example. This concerns Anne, David's wife and your daughter-in-law. David introduced me to her 2 years before they even got married. He told me that he was in love with her and was seriously thinking about marrying her.
He introduced Anne to you 2 years before they got married?
That's right. At the time, he told me he was going to introduce you to Annie right before getting married. As I recall, it was like 2 or 3 months before, wasn't it? He was sure you'd kick up a fuss and would totally reject the marriage outright.
Is that why he rejected that nice woman that I was going to introduce to him back then? It was because he was already going out with Anne? He was already planning to marry her? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And who was this woman you were going to introduce him to anyways?
You know her too. It's Sandy. From when he was in high school. You remember her.
Wait a second, Caroline. That's Sandy? Are you out of your mind?
Why are you so shocked? I worked with her at the mall. She's so nice and very energetic and friendly. She would have been perfect for David. Did you know that their father is a company president? Sandy is much more suited for David than Anne. Wasn't her father just some company clerk or something? I never really asked her.
You're forgetting one thing, Caroline. I heard that this Sandy has 3 kids, and she's not even married, for God's sake. On top of that, they aren't even sure who the father is, and you wanted David to marry this girl?
Pardon me? Where did you hear that?
Not only does she have 3 kids, she's been divorced twice. I heard that her parents are so fed up that they're not even talking anymore.
Is that true? You're not making that up, are you? I had no idea Sandy had...
Everybody knows everybody around the area. Where have you been? I'm surprised one of your lady friends weren't gossiping about it. Your discriminatory views are apparent, Caroline. You only look at things superficially.
How could you say that? Are you saying that I'm prejudiced? That was not my intention.
I'm so glad that David has an eye for people. He knows good people when he sees them. If we had left it up to you to decide who David should marry, I'm sure he would have suffered the consequences. I'm glad he defied you and made his own decisions. His life would have been very different.
I thought only of his happiness. I thought it was best for him, that's all.
We really got off track, haven't we? I suspected that you probably had ill will towards Anne and probably call her a name or two. But this? Are you serious, Caroline? How could you call her such despicable names?
Like I was saying, this was merely part of disciplining her. She'll never be a good housewife if she's not taught proper manners.
Lazy deadbeat wife is going a little too far, isn't it? You come off as a hateful bully is all. David is standing right here next to me. He's in total agreement. You've gone too far, Caroline.
No, this can't be. David wouldn't feel that way toward me. I'm going to head home pretty soon. You will be home, I hope.
We need to sit down and talk, Caroline. We need to discuss our future.
Discuss our future? What are you talking about?
10 years ago, I was forced to accept defeat because of your reaction. Your total hysteria. But this time, I've had it. There are just too many complications involved this time. I cannot ignore it any longer. Unlike 10 years ago, my mind is set. There is no one who is going to change my mind. You can become enraged all you want. Become hysterical all you want. My decision is final.
Huh? What do you mean, final? Are you serious, Robert? Anne, where are you? Where did you disappear to, for Pete's sake? I want you to reply right this second. This is an emergency. Where have you gone? Oh, hello, Mother. What can I do for you? You seem kinda upset. There's nobody here. Where have you disappeared to? Oh, I see what this is about. so you did go to our house. Robert was right after all. He advised us to move out as soon as possible. I was a little reluctant at first, but he was right after all. I'm glad I took his advice. My husband's advice? What are you talking about? No, Caroline. He's no longer your husband. Shut your mouth! This is all his fault. All Robert's fault. He just could not comprehend the love and consideration that I devoted to David. Unlike my husband, I was always thinking of my precious son. Always. But David will come around one day. I know it. He'll look back and understand all that I did for him. I see you have not come to grips with what you did, have you? After that harsh condemnation that Robert gave you, and you still don't understand? What more do we have to do to make you see? What do you know? You have no right to lecture me. You've only been with David for 3 or 4 years. I brought him into this world and raised him to the man he is. You will never understand the bond, the almost 30 years that I spent with him. It's a never-ending, eternal bond. It was David, your devoted son, that suggested that we move and relocate. More accurately, he made the decision to take me to his current place of employment. He put in a transfer to the position back east. He wants to make it permanent, and the company agreed. You're moving there? To his current office? Seriously? What about your own job? Did you quit? No, of course not. I was permitted to work remote, so I can work from anywhere now. Very convenient, actually. I see. Well, then I will pack some things and be over there by the end of the week. I don't think so, Caroline. The address over here is not the one you were told. That was a company dorm. We found a more permanent place. What? You found a new place already? Where is this new place? I'm sorry, but I'm not permitted to divulge that information. After all, we moved in order to get away from you, so why would we tell you? You're trying to pull David and I apart. All I'm doing is obeying David's requests. As his wife, I have to obey his every command, right? Isn't that what you always told me? I can't believe that. David would never do that. You're hiding it from me. David will tell me, I'm sure of it. Okay, whatever. Think how you like. I really don't care if you believe me or not, to be honest. But if you continue to disregard David's feelings, if you continue to deny reality, I'm afraid you'll never see your son again. Pardon me? Not see my son? Not see my David ever again? There is nothing further for me to say to you, so maybe we can cut it short. What do you say? Goodbye. Wait, Anne, don't cut me off. What do you mean I won't ever see my son again? Don't you dare cut me off, Anne! You'll regret this, Anne! No matter what we said, no matter how we tried to explain it to her, she just could not accept the fact that David was sick and tired of her abnormal devotion and love for him. Maybe her love for her son is so strong nothing will convince her otherwise. David tried various ways to make his mother understand his feelings, to no avail. He came to me and his father for advice after countless attempts to reconcile with his mother. She was his mother, after all, and he wanted to settle the matter without breaking up the family. After his parents finally divorced, he sighed with relief, saying to me one night at the dinner table, "It's finally over." He finally seemed at peace with himself. My father-in-law was much the same way, apologizing for making us wait for so long. Maybe if he had had the courage to divorce her 10 years ago, all this might never have transpired. And I would not have endured such anguish. And what happened to Caroline, my former mother-in-law, you ask? I heard this from a friend of mine, and I would take it with a grain of salt. But apparently, she found a young man that looks strikingly like David. I heard she used up all the money she received from her divorce and used it all on this guy. Last I heard, she was deep in debt. She completely disregarded warnings from her friends and neighbors and couldn't stop sinking money into this guy. She's always had a bullheadedness about her. Once she latches onto something, she won't let it go. Maybe that's why she ended up losing everything she cared for. But will I reach out to help her? I'm sorry, but no thanks. I don't think she would even accept my help.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.